Just when I thought Quinn's HOH reign couldn't get any worse, he keeps on finding ways to surprise me. From burning friendships to trusting the wrong people, there is just this whirlwind of bad gameplay everywhere. Most of the time, it makes absolutely no sense, but it sure is fun to watch. We do have a lot to go over today, including the fallout from one wild veto ceremony. But before we get started, if you have not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. This season is one of the most chaotic ones we've had in a while, and there is a lot to keep up with, and a lot of it just isn't going to make the live show. So quick recaps like this really are the best way to get a good sense of what's going on in the actual game. So if you would like a deeper dive into what's going on in the house as we head towards the jury, then this is the channel for you. Now, let's get started. So when we last left off, Leah had won the veto, and even though her buddy Angela was up on the block, she was getting a lot of pressure not to use it. Quinn was the main one pressuring her, telling her that it would be bad for her game and it could put a big target on her back. Quinn was really just doing the most in general when it came to these nominations. He told Leah that he wanted to call a house meeting to get everybody to agree on a replacement and to get people to promise not to vote them out.
Oh fuck, I don't want to have that conversation with Rubina and Kimo, but like, everyone who's not on the block right now, and just be like, straight up, we should all give our word that we will not put up whoever the replacement is, and then agree on someone volunteers, and then if not, then we find some way.
And he also said that he would make people draw from a bag of Skittles to see who would be the replacement nom. I am so serious. I honestly could not believe this. Clearly, this was a disaster waiting to happen, but at the same time, it was so messy, so I was just hyped. Now, I'm thinking that Leah must use the veto. Like, I need to see this train wreck happen. Now, from Leah's perspective, Angela and her have been cool all season. They don't really have a strong game relationship. It's really just mainly been personal connections. But the last week, they've started to talk a lot more game with each other, and they've even created a final two, which I think that part is really important since neither one of these ladies are one to get into alliances too often. So Leah and Angela are going to sit down to have their one-on-one. And while Angela doesn't directly ask Leah if she would use the veto on her, she does very heavily imply it.
And I think how phenomenal it would be to have this beautiful woman standing next to me at the end, and that we've pretty much been friends and together this whole time.
Angela is actually pretty slick with it in this convo. You know what? She's really not too bad of a player when she's pretending to be humble, at least. She's pretty good in the victim role.
Can I be so honest with you?
Yeah.
The $750,000 is amazing. It really is. But, and I hate to say this because I don't want them to think I'm giving up, but even third place to me or second place would mean so much to me and my family.
And again, I do think Leah would really prefer in her heart to use the veto. It is just kind of scary because literally nobody else in that house wants Angela to be saved. Now, Leah does have some other reasons for wanting the veto to be used too, though. You see, Leah would actually like to see Kimo evicted this week, but she knows that's never going to happen if Angela is sitting on that block. So there is a little bit more incentive there for Leah. It's just that she doesn't have any backup. She even meets up with Kimo and Rubina, who both know that she's not going to use it on them, so they don't even really attempt to ask. In fact, they'd rather actually keep nominations the same, just in case Quinn was thinking of putting T-Kor up as the replacement nom. I mean, Quinn wasn't planning on doing that, but I do understand them being extra cautious.
Even though I could sit here and ask you to use the veto on me, I would hate for someone else to go up, truly. And given the options, I feel like I have an inkling of who it might be.
Who do you think?
T-Kor.
Oof.
So right now, Leah is at this pivotal moment in her game where she actually gets to be the one calling the shots for the first time all season. And she keeps coming up with all these really good reasons for her to keep Angela too.
It just really freaking sucks. Like, if the one person that I know is like a for sure honest vote towards me no matter what the hell happens is going home the week before jury.
But the thing about Leah is, since she's refused to join any alliances all season, she doesn't really have anybody to talk honest game to or bounce her ideas off of. So going into the veto ceremony, it was a complete mystery to us, the audience, on if she would actually use it or not. So the feeds go off for a little bit for the ceremony, and when they return, we see that Angela has indeed been removed from the block. That's right, Leah did use the veto on her, and in her place, Quinn decided to put up Joseph. Yes, I am so serious. That is right, y'all. Quinn decided to put up Joseph as the replacement, but it doesn't sound like he used that Skittle method after all, and unfortunately, there was no house fight this time. I know, it sounded fun to me too. Now, this move from Leah blindsided pretty much everybody. I think Quinn had kind of hinted to the Joseph that he could be the one going up, but overall, I'm pretty sure everybody was just assuming that the veto was not going to get used. But alas, here goes Angela's ass, safe for yet another week. Are y'all excited? I'm excited. Now, if Joseph being the replacement nom feels random and senseless to you, that's because it is. Don't get me wrong, Joseph has definitely done a lot this week to tank his game, but now Quinn has burned yet another ally from yet a different side of the house for pretty much no reason. Honestly, he really should have just doubled down and nominated T-Kor at that point, since he's already completely obliterated that bond this week. But his whole goal this week was that he only wanted to put up the people that voted to keep Tucker, so T-Kor was able to get a safety pass, and Joseph was just shit out of luck. Now, Joseph isn't completely innocent here either, because like I said, he has been slowly but surely tanking his position this past week. I mentioned in my last video about how Joseph has been bragging about how good he is and not taking care of his social game and just kind of rubbing people the wrong way in general.
And he told her she's lucky to be here.
Yeah, you should just be happy that you made it this far.
Dang.
It's crazy.
He's throwing his stuff just out.
Listen.
Even T-Kor's worried about him.
I know.
She told me that.
Now that Joseph is on the block, he's gonna get to campaigning, of course, but it's not looking too hopeful for him. First, there is the trio of Kimo, Rubina, and T-Kor, who obviously want to save each other and therefore vote Joseph out at all costs. And then there's this other trio of Chelsie, MJ, and Cam, who were also wanting Joseph on the block. Now, I do think that they would rather see Kimo go at this point, but Joseph is a great second option for them as well. And then there's this final trio of Quinn, Leah, and Joseph, which is by far the weakest since they're apparently putting each other on the block now for no reason. Their goal is to save Joseph this week, but obviously Leah is going to be the only one with the vote, so there's not going to be too much movement coming from them. Now, it is important to note that none of these are actual alliances with actual names. They're just these trust clusters of who's closest to who right now. So things aren't looking super duper bright for Joseph, but there is still the AI arena and there's still plenty of time before the vote. There are a few people in the house, plus Quinn and Leah, who would rather see Kimo leave, if that's worth anything.
I believe we have the votes to keep here.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So,
I think it's young Kimo.
who's the target?
Mm-hmm.
After the surprise at the veto ceremony, there are a lot of mixed feelings in the air. Most of the house is pretty excited to see Joseph on the block, not gonna lie. But of course, Joseph and Quinn are feeling pretty gutted. Joseph for obvious reasons, and Quinn is just mainly pissed that Angela's safe for another week. He says he's not mad at his precious Leah, but he really is. It's like he's calling her a snake, but he's also trying to cuddle up in bed with her at the same time. It's just very Quinn-like behavior.
I know, you were such a snake.
What?
You're like, I want Kimo out. And so then you did that. I know you're smart. You played me.
I did not.
And after the ceremony, the entire time, Leah is pretty much just playing dumb and acting like she has no idea how this game actually works for real, which I think is hilarious.
This is gonna sound absolutely nutso, but like whenever I woke up this morning, like the two things on my mind were like, I wasn't even considering Rena, which is literally the most important part.
I explicitly told you what would have to happen.
But I didn't realize that was a thing.
Honestly, after his initial noms, I didn't think that Quinn's game could sink any lower, yet here we are. In just 1 week, he has burned Joseph, Kimo, and T-Kor, the 3 people he was closest to in this whole house. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the week that loses Quinn the whole game, because I don't know if he's ever going to be able to recover from this for real.
But he lost so much respect for me with the move he made on his HOH. Because the thing is, other people don't understand how close Quinn was to these people.
Right.
They don't understand.
It wasn't just a number thing.
Right now, he does have that other alliance that's kind of in the works with the other Tucker voters, but honestly, I can't see that thing lasting past this week. So that's the main story of the day. Again, it looks like either Kimo or Joseph will be the ones leaving this week, depending on what happens with the AI arena. Right now, votes are still being discussed, and there is still technically time for anything to happen. Of course, I'll be back here to update you guys whenever something big happens in the game, but until next time, bye.